Jeff, I'm going to let you answer the second question too, if you would start off. Looking back over the years, were there signs that something wasn't right in your family that you see now, but you didn't recognize then?
Yes, I would say definitely so. But Elaine, I want to just piggyback real quickly first off what you just said, because I almost made it sound like it was all gloom and doom. Because when you're going through this alienation stuff, and if you don't know what it is, you can take a lot of guilt to yourself. And I had some people that just said, Jeff, that's not you. Now knock it off. And they read me the riot act, so to speak. And I'm like, okay, you know what? It really helped to gave me some sense of sanity in the whole thing as well, when some other people were just writing you off and trying to say you're abusive or you're this or you're that or whatever. But with regard to signs, were there signs that were seen? I think that in retrospect, we all see signs. We can't necessarily prove them because at this point, it's just speculation. But I did definitely see signs. So for example, on my wife's side of the family, my ex-wife's side of the family, I should say, her father kicked out my ex-wife's grandmother from their life. I remember him telling me about it. I threw her out of the house, and he was bragging about this, like this needed to be done. And at least that's my memory of it as I recall it. And, so there's that part. There's the idea that when people are always wanting to be right about something so that they could never be wrong, they themselves may not be part of the problem. There were times that grandparents should be there to support the family, support kids, to support the parent-child relationship. But there are some times that you have grandparents, and look, and I understand we're grandparents, and most grandparents are good grandparents, but sometimes grandparents make mistakes. And when grandparents want to keep secrets with the kids, we can't let the parents know because they've given us a trust. And really, sometimes that helps to create an alienation in itself. And then later on, if anything happens, the grandparents, and again, I've seen this, and I'm not talking about all grandparents, but they've been like, well, we can't really divulge this trust. We're the parents. You're supposed to be here to help. You love in a different manner. Yes, there are confidences that sometimes you need to keep, but you can also be the source of alienation as well. And the other thing that I've seen, Elaine, and this is kind of a hard one to generalize because, everybody wants to be right? I just want to be right about this thing, and we can never do anything wrong. And I've seen some of these issues where, grandparents will, and again, I'm sorry for making this sound negative on grandparents. I'm a grandparent. I'm alienated right now. So I'm not trying to by any means say that, but I've seen some grandparents that have been bad and that have, they will do steps that will actually undermine the parent-child relationship, the whole familial concept that we should be having, but they can never be wrong. And they could never say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I helped to contribute to this. We love you, we love the kids. And especially if you're in a situation that when a divorce takes place, like it happened in my situation, divorce I didn't want, but a divorce that was granted nevertheless. And now all of a sudden you become public enemy number one. After 25 years of being a confidant and everything else and asking for advice, and now all of a sudden, things have changed just like that, and you become an enemy. So I've seen some signs, and it's very speculative at this point. I can't put fingers on it, but I do know that if you see a history of abuse in the past with others, like when they kick out a grandparent, as what happened in my case, with my former wife's father, for example, throwing a grandmother out of the house, and that was the right thing to do. Maybe there are some things as far as the familial relationship that are signs that perhaps there may be some other things that will reproduce themselves later on. Because let's face it, we learn things from our parents, and maybe you or maybe your ex-spouse or maybe somebody else has picked up some really bad behaviors and or some bad practices. So yes, I have seen some of those things. It's completely speculative at this point, but there are things that would be red flags for me going forward.
Yeah, I get that because, and I agree, there are some grandparents, may I say, they're in the minority and they're
Right.
few. But I had one last week that I was speaking with, and she made the comment that she wished she had taught her granddaughter to lie to her parents. And I'm like, whoa, that is not what you need to be doing. You should never teach that child to lie to anyone, especially their parents, And then she didn't want to do something they wanted her to do, the parents, so now she can't see her granddaughter. And I'm like, and it wasn't a big deal that she could have done it, but she didn't want to. And I'm like, you can't put yourself before the grandchild. It's about them. It's not about you, because your grandchild doesn't know why you're not there. So the fact that some of these grandparents can do these kind of things, it doesn't mean they can't change, and that's my prayer, that they see the wrong that they have done, and they change it. Nobody's perfect, and they can change. Again, most are great grandparents that want to be grandparents, that would nearly die, to be a grandparent. I know I've said many times in our situation with our granddaughter Dare, that we've never met, she'll be 12 in June, I'd crawl to her home, which is like almost 3 hours from us. But I literally, before God, would crawl to get to her if I could see her. So
Right.
there are many out there like that. So thanks, Jeff. Elaine, how about you?